Hi, Evan. I have a book for you, and it's by two people you know. Uncle Isaac and Papa wrote this book, and it's called The Big One That Got Away. What do you think it's about? Oh, there aren't a lot of pictures in this book. I just want to tell you, sometimes there's whole pages. So there's a dedication, and the dedication says, "We dedicate our book in deepest gratitude and appreciation to Miss Leslie Kelly. It was she who noticed, researched, and brought the Right Share project to our school." So this book was written for when Uncle Isaac was in lower elementary with Miss Leslie. And it's a project where the adults and the kids write a book together. You get to choose an adult and they write a book with you, and it's really fun. Maybe you and I will get to do it if they're still doing it at Montessori. Okay, so here's the first picture, and I will read it to you. Everybody else was out in the powerboat cruising the lake. Just Dad and I were at the cottage alone on the shore. But we did not mind being alone because we were getting ready to take the rowboat out to go fishing. While we walked from the van, which was behind the cottage, to the shore carrying our gear, I asked, "Can I carry the tackle box, Dad, please?" "No, Isaac, it's old and the catch is not strong. We don't want hooks and sinkers and bobbers all over the beach, do we?" replied Dad. "No," I said, but I secretly thought I could carry it carefully without letting it fly open. Soon we had poles, tackle, and life jackets down on the beach next to the rowboat. I couldn't wait to get into that boat and out into the water. Look, so see, they've got their oars and their life jackets and the tackle box and the fishing poles, and there's the boat and the lake, and they're on the shore. I wanted to fish. I also couldn't understand why my dad was taking so long to get us out on the lake. "Can I row the boat, Dad?" I asked. "Sure," said Dad, "but not at first. It's tricky to row a boat close to the shore and against the waves, so once we get out a ways, then you can try it. But I think you'll find it a bit harder than you might imagine." Picking up a life jacket, I turned to Dad and said hopefully, "Shall I put this on now so we can go?" "Not quite yet," Dad mused. "There are a couple of things still to do before we go." "Like what, Dad?" I responded impatiently. "Like, are you thirsty now? Like, will you be thirsty later? Like, when was the last time you went to the bathroom? That's what's like, you little diggy dog," Dad countered teasingly. "Now, up to the cottage, get a drink, and let it out. I'll do the same, and we'll get a water bottle to take with us." So up to the cottage we trudged. The cottage is on the east side of Keuka Lake, not too far from Penn Yan. That's not far from where my dad grew up, but the cottage is not my dad and Mom's. We were spending the weekend, a wonderful summer weekend, at the cottage of our friends, Leora, Richard, Audrey, and Erica. Erica and Audrey are the kids. They're older, you know, high school and middle school, but they've known me since I was a baby, and I've known them since forever. Leora and Richard are the adults. Mom has known Leora since she met Dad. The cottage is Richard's dad's cottage, and it's really nice. Anyway, enough about that. There we were. It was the last summer we were at that cottage, at that lake, and almost ready to go fishing, if I could ever get Dad moving. "I'm done, Dad. I'm ready," I yelled through the bathroom door. "Are you ready yet?" "Yeah, kid, yeah, just keep your shirt on," was Dad's muffled reply. "Do I have to keep it on while we're out in the boat?" I asked, pretending to be serious. Dad needs to be teased once in a while, too. "Not literally, Isaac. I just mean don't get so impatient." "I knew what you meant, Dad," I replied, "but I am impatient." Okay, I'll hurry," Dad said. "You go get our hats out of the van. We'll need hats while we're out on the lake." "Great," I yelled as I ran out the back door. He's a pretty good dad, my dad, even though he is such a perfectionist. I dashed to the van, grabbed our hats, and ran down to the boat on the beach. And there came my dad carrying the water bottle down from the cottage to meet me by the boat. "Let's load up," said Dad. Then can we go? I asked. No, replied Dad in a sneaky tone of voice. What now? I almost screamed. Do you have your life vest on? He asked as he slipped into his. I have mine on. Silly Dad. There's no pictures, by the way. That's why I'm not showing you any. Again, no pictures. I groaned, but Dad helped me get my vest on and adjusted. It felt a little tight, and it seemed as if I were in Africa. That vest was hot. This thing is tight and hot, I complained. As he loosened the vest a bit, he comforted me with, better to be a little uncomfortable than dead. He was right, so I quit complaining. Dad quickly turned the boat right side up and said, let's load up and push off. That was okay with me. We put the tackle boxes in and made sure they were secure under the seats. Then in went the poles and the water bottle. Last but not least, we loaded in the oars. And then, with each of us on opposite sides of the boat, we pulled it down into the water. Here you go, Guy, grunted Dad as he lifted me into the back of the boat. Then he turned the bow of the boat, that's the front of the boat, out towards the open water, gave a shove, and jumped in. And he didn't even rock the boat as he got in. Sitting in the middle, facing me in the back of the boat, he put the oars in the oarlocks and quickly started rowing. Dad, I exclaimed, why are we going backwards? We're not, he replied. Yes, we are, I insisted. Your back is facing the lake, the direction we're going in. I know, Dad answered, but you're facing forwards, aren't you? Yes. And the bow of the boat is in front of you, isn't it? Yes. Well, I may be going backwards, but you and the boat are going forwards. This is just the proper rowing position. It's a little awkward at first, but you get used to it. And it is the most efficient way to row a boat, Dad explained. Then he was quiet as he pulled and pulled and pulled at the oars and got us far out from shore. The cottage was beginning to look small. Just as I was beginning to notice the cottage was shrinking, Dad eased off the rowing, rested the paddle end of the oars on the back edge of the boat right next to me. Then he reached down, picked up a fishing pole, and pulled out a tackle box. Is this where we're fishing? I asked. No, Dad answered. We're going to go much further up the lake, into the wind before... Why are we going into the wind? I questioned. Whoa, let me finish and then you'll know, Dad chuckled. We'll row way up and almost across the lake into the wind so that we can drift fish all the way back. Drift fish? I said. Let me guess. We just let the boat drift in the water while we fish, right? That's right. And the wind blows us and makes us move across the water, so that's why we go into the wind, right? That's also right. How fast will it blow us, Dad? Not fast enough to worry about, but too fast for my comfort, Dad replied. What do you mean for your comfort? I asked, being naturally full of questions. Well, Dad explained, it won't seem like we're moving much at all, but soon, too soon, after I stop rowing, we will have drifted right back in front of the cottage. Then, if we want to fish more, I'll have to row more. Oh, I said, I could row. Yes, you could, and you will, Dad said, but it will be the hard part no matter who does it, and I fear I would be doing most of the rowing. As he talked, he worked at setting up a fishing pole, which he handed to me. Are we going to start drifting now, Dad? I questioned. We've been drifting the whole time I've been setting up this rod for you, but now I'm going to start rowing again, and you are going to troll. Troll? I began. I know. What's trolling, Dad? Well, my son, trolling is fishing by dragging a lure or some bait on a long line behind a moving boat. Then hopefully the fish down there will think it's food going by and will bite it. What if they don't? Then we won't catch them. What if it's a great, big, 5-foot-long fish? What kind of fish are we fishing for? Trout. A great, big, 5-foot-long trout. Wait, do trout get 5 feet long? Once in a great while, said Dad. A great, big, 5-foot-long trout bites it, I asked. Are you sure you want to know? Yeah, I hesitated. And then I said with more certainty, yes, I do. Well, he would pull you right out of the boat and eat you, line, lure, rod, and all. Trout are especially fond of little boys, Dad said in his evil vampire voice. Oh, then he said, trout are especially fond of little boys, Dad said in his evil vampire voice. Dad! Okay. While I start rowing, you hold your pole over the back of the boat, drop the lure into the water, and start letting the line out. I'll let you know when it's enough." "How do I let the line out?" "Oh, yeah, I know already. I just push the little button and let the line go. But I hold onto the pole, right, Dad?" I knew I had to hold the pole, but I wanted to see if Dad was really listening. "Yes, Isaac, hold the pole!" Dad started to shout. Then he saw I was just kidding him. So I started letting out the line, and Dad rowed the boat. And after what seemed like a long time to me, but according to Dad it wasn't, Dad said, "Okay, Isaac, that's enough line out." And there they are. Do you think it looks like Papa and Uncle Isaac? Sorta does. Okay, let's see what's next. Ooh, no more pictures on this page either. They wrote a big book, didn't they? Okay. Now, just relax and hold the pole and wait for those fish to bite. So I stopped the line, I held the pole, I relaxed, and I waited for those fish to bite. And I waited. And Dad rowed. 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 But no fish bit. We were getting closer to the other shore. Dad kept on rowing. I kept on waiting. We were getting even closer to the other shore, and Dad kept on rowing, and I kept on waiting. I was dying to say, "Can I row now, Dad?" So I did. And Dad said, "May I?" "May you what?" I said. "No, you say, 'May I?'" Dad answered. "Why?" I asked. "Isaac," Dad started. Okay, I replied. "May I row now?" "Sure," Dad said, catching me totally by surprise. "Really?" "Yes." "So switch places with me, then you can row. Remember, stay low while we switch places," he said. "Right, Dad," I said happily, as we changed seats in the slightly rocking boat. Once I was settled on the middle seat, with Dad on the back seat, he quickly wound in some fishing line, then putting the pole aside again, handed me the oar handles. I, of course, didn't know how to begin, but with his hands holding the oars right next to mine, Dad guided me through the motions of rowing for the first few strokes. Then, when everything seemed to be going smoothly, he said, Now you try it on your own." I was excited. I was proud. I was rowing a boat all by myself. It was great. It was tiring. It was killing me. I couldn't do this for one more minute. The boat was slowing down. It felt like the wind was blowing us backward. I couldn't keep the silly thing going straight. I was so frustrated. I thought I was going to cry, but I didn't. I wanted to let go of those oars, but I didn't. And then I heard Dad saying, "Do you want any help?" "Yes," I half groaned and half shouted. "You were doing great," Dad said. "I was?" "Yep." So Dad took over the rowing again, and I took over the trolling. Dad rowed for just a few more minutes, and then he said, "Look how close to that cottage we are." It was the cottage we had noticed way across the lake. We were practically at its dock. "Do you think it's time to start drifting, Dad?" I asked. "It sure is," said Dad, putting the oars up on the edges of the boat. "Let's wind in that line and put on something for catching bass." "How come we didn't get any trout, Dad?" I asked. "Must be they weren't hungry," Dad replied, "or we didn't have the right lure for today." "Are you going to fish for bass too?" I asked again. "You bet." Pause.